You have the right to remain silent, and anything you say now can be used against you in a court of law. Good evening, everyone. My name is Pilokadeze, and I welcome you to the Suits channel. And today we're going to look at the meaning of that phrase that the Nigerian police normally use when arresting a person. You have the right to remain silent, and anything you say now can be used against you in a court of law. What does this phrase mean? How does it come about? And what are we expected to do when we hear this kind of thing? That is what you're going to see. But before we proceed, I would like you to press the share button, share it to your friends, family, well-wishers, and loved ones. Now, the phrase, you have the right to remain silent, and anything you say now can be used against you in a court of law, is simply called a Miranda right or a Miranda warning. It is called a Miranda warning because it is a type of warning given by police officers to criminal suspects in police custody before they are interrogated. The Miranda warning derived its name from the U.S. Supreme Court case between Miranda and Arizona, and the case revolves around a young man by name Ensto Miranda, who was arrested by the Arizona police in 1963 and for kidnapping and rape of an 18-year-old girl. Now, before his arrest, the victim had already described this young man to the Arizona police, and her descriptions matched that of the Miranda's, and then Miranda was arrested and was taken into custody. So while he was in the police custody, he agreed to participate in a lineup of suspects. Now, lineup of suspects is a system or a practice where the police ushers in one or more criminal suspects alongside a few similar looking faces, and then an eyewitness is called upon to identify his or her perpetrator. And so the victim picked him out of the lineup, and then he was interrogated by the Arizona police. During the interrogation, he confessed that he committed the crimes, but before that, he was never informed of his right to remain silent. He was also not informed of his right to an attorney before interrogation, and then his confession was used against him at trial. He was convicted and sentenced to 20 to 30 years imprisonment. Miranda appealed his conviction to the Arizona Supreme Court, who also affirmed the decision of the trial court, which means that he was also convicted and sentenced by the Arizona Supreme Court. Now, aggrieved by the decision of the Arizona Supreme Court, he further appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. In his appeal, his lawyer argued that his confessional statements during interrogation should be excluded from the evidence that was used against him at trial because he was not informed of his constitutional rights. And the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, accepted the lawyer's argument and held, amongst others, that truly the police did not inform him of his right to remain silent, and that he was also not informed of his right to an attorney before interrogation. And so the court reversed or overturned the Arizona Supreme Court's decision and then established the Miranda rights. What are these Miranda rights? 1, you have the right to remain silent. 2, Anything you say now can be used against you in a court of law. 3. You have the right to an attorney. 4. If you cannot afford one will be provided for you. 5. Do you understand the rights that I have just read to you? Do you wish to waive your rights and speak to me? Now, by virtue of Section 35 sub 2 of our Nigerian Constitution, 1999 as amended, Miranda rights are provided or granted in our Constitution, and it is provided as follows. Any person who is arrested or detained shall have the right to remain silent or avoid answering any question until after consultation with a legal practitioner of his own choice. In conclusion, Miranda rights issued out by the police helps the suspect to know that he is entitled to some rights, and one of these rights is the right not to self-incriminate himself or herself. In other words, it shows you that even though you are being arrested by the police, that as a human you are still being entitled to some rights.